Discourse typology, spoken and written, formal and informal. So, language teachers have divided two major categories, spoken and written. So, these are the two major categories. Then we further divide them into speaking and listening, and reading and writing, right? So, these are the further division of the discourse. Spoken discourse is less planned and orderly. So when we are engaged in talking, there is less planning, and these way sentences are being made, or the different structures are given, they may be not very orderly. So in a conversation, we are more prone to have interruption. So the receiver may intervene. However, there are some kinds of spoken discourse which are planned, and which there is a little chance of being interrupted. For example, lesson. When a teacher gives a lesson, generally the student do not interfere, or when he gives a lecture, or when an interviewer takes an interview. So interviewee is the one who has to answer to the interviewer. He cannot put up a question. And similarly, the trials, court of law, a criminal cannot influence the way the conversation is taking place, or the proceedings are taking place in the court, right? So these spoken discourses are planned. To some extent, these spoken discourses are planned, and they go on the way they have been planned by the people who initiate them. However, the possibility of subordinate participant can be limited in such planned spoken discourses. When we come on to reading, for example, if you are reading a novel, there is a little or no chance that you could influence the writer of the novel. You have to go with the ideas given in the novel. You will feel pain, or you will feel happiness that have been given by or written by the novelist. However, at times the reader may affect the written discourse. For example, whenever you are writing, for example, a person is writing about something, so the response of the market can influence his writing. So in this way, the reader may influence the writer. Similarly, a teacher as a reader may send back an essay written by a student and ask him to rewrite the essay. Similarly, the editor may ask the writer to cut a sentence, to write another sentence. So in these way, we can say that sometimes even writing can be influenced by the readers. The traditional division of spoken and writing is based on a difference in production. For example, when we are speaking, we use our mouth, and our ears are involved. But when we are writing, our hands are involved and our eyes are involved. So these are two different skills, right? And we use different organs in the production of these skills. So fundamental distinction as far as discourse structure is concerned is there being formal or informal. So the fundamental difference is whether the discourse is formal, planned, or informal, less planned, right? So formal discourse, planned discourse, and they can be both spoken and written. So it's not necessarily that it's always written, as we have just discussed that sometimes the written discourse can be influenced by the reader, and sometimes the spoken discourse cannot be influenced by the participants. So less formal, however, unplanned discourse, either spoken or written, usually spoken. So however, the spoken discourse is generally thought to be less formal because it's not very well planned. So informal spoken, especially for foreign language learner, is informal and unpredictable. So when a language learner is having a conversation with a native speaker, it is very difficult to understand him because the language the native speaker is quite fast. The second language learner may be thinking of some idea in his mind, and the native speaker has moved on. So in such situation, it is very difficult for the second language learner to understand the informal spoken discourse, because for him it is difficult to follow the quickness, the fastness of ideas and the conversation, because the native speaker keeps on moving ahead and the non-native speaker finds difficult to keep up with his fluency.